Good morning, everyone. My name is Linh. I'm with a national nonprofit veterans organization called The Mission Continues. I'm the regional operations manager. But as a organizations, we have a missions to develop and deploy veterans into under-resourced communities. I'm super happy to be a part of today activity here in Little Saigon. It's a community that I grew up with my family in over 30 years ago. But we're here to to join the mayor in a very, very special occasion. So without further ado, let me introduce you our wonderful, awesome mayor, Bruce Harrell.
Thank you, Lynn. We feel like we got some energy in here. Thank you, Lynn. I'll speak loudly to speak over the noise. I think many of you know Lynn is a regional manager with The Mission Continues, and I want to thank him for his continued advocacy and hard work in this community. Thank you very much, Lynn. So I know many of you may have questions about other issues, but what we're here today is to talk about a movement in Seattle that will be known as One Seattle Day of Service. Now, this One Seattle Day of Service is put together by our executive team. It will occur on May 21st, 2022. That is a Saturday. And the activities will start around 9 in the morning and go till 5 o'clock. And because some people can't work that full day as a volunteer, we'll do it in shifts. And I'll talk about the logistics in a minute. But most importantly, I want to talk about the concept. What you're seeing today with graffiti cleanup, with beautification, is sort of the concept of what we're going to do under the Harrell administration. I do want to recognize some of the fine leaders and community activists behind me, and I'm just going to call out a few, because some of them we actually paid to stand behind as props, but others are here from SPU. Andrew Lee, our head of SPU. We have Vincent, Berthillot. I tried to do this, Vincent. It's French. Berthillot.
Very good.
Okay. And we've done some business before. I slaughtered it last time, and the Knot delegation was just here, and I was boning up on my French, but with oil, rain, and thank you, Vincent, for being here. Maya Mendoza from the Exstrom, from the Sounders, and you see we're sporting the gear here. John Scholes from the DSA, Downtown Seattle Association. Thank you, John, for being here. And Monisha Singh from the CID-BIA, just to mention a few folks that sort of symbolizes what this day of service is going to be. So I wanted to introduce those folks because on this particular day, we're going to have about 88 total events all around the city, all around our 84 square miles. We're going to have over 2,000 opportunities for people to chime in and do what they can, no matter what level of physical level they have or interest level that they have. We have over 72 community partners, and that list continues to grow. What are we going to be doing? We're going to be doing what we're doing today: cleaning, planting trees, laying down bark, graffiti removal, an all hands on deck approach. We're going to be sorting food for the food banks. We're going to do everything that's something that everyone can sort of pitch in. And why are we doing this? And we're going to do it not just one day a year. This is going to be symbolic of how we're going to get these problems done in our city. That we have opportunities for everybody. And the interesting thing about Seattle is people want to help. Employers want to help. Employees want to help. Community activists want to help. Business leaders want to help. Teachers and students want to help. And I can't emphasize the students enough, both high school and these great college systems we have around here. They all want to help. Now, everyone will get two things. They will get a sense of participating, using their talent to help get the city where we need to be. They'll get the self-fulfillment when they look in the mirror. They'll feel good about not just complaining about the problem, but doing something about it. And quite frankly, that's why people are called to public service. They'll get that. And secondly, and most importantly, they're going to get a t-shirt. A One Seattle t-shirt. to symbolize on that day what we will be doing. So you're going to see many strategies come out with this, what we call a many hands approach. A lot of my staff says many hands, many hands. But that's exactly what we're going to do. We are a great city, and many of you know I talk about loving the city and loving the people in the city. And so this all hands approach will kick off on May 21st, because we've already had, like the leaders you see here and the work that Linh, and we have some veterans here that are giving, and you already see us doing this in pockets with the city. We can go out to West Seattle. I was at the Duwamish Waterway the other day. I was at High Point doing litter pickup. You see these pocket approaches, and this is what makes Seattle great. But we want to put that on a whole different level. We want to put energy and enthusiasm around there. This is the importance of working together. So we're going to have a website, seattle.gov. Is it / day of service, Monisha? That's /. Okay. seattle.gov / day of service, all one word. You could give us your information, and we're going to coordinate this. And I'll close before I introduce a phenomenal leader, Quynh Pham. Before I introduce Quynh, I'll say, you've heard me say this before, that what is sustainable? Sustainable energy. Sustainable energy is compassion and love. You wake up feeling good about what you're trying to do. It's not hate. It's not hate. It's joy. By the way, you guys remember the highest rating in the state, our fire department right there. And they're going to be involved in our day of service as well. But what is sustainable, what should wake people up is feeling good about what we're going to do with this city. We are not perfect. We will make mistakes, but we will lead with our heart and our compassion. So our one day of service is going to be emblematic of things to come on how we're going to actually get our city optimized and the people in it. So having said that, I'd like to introduce Quynh Pham from Friends of Little Saigon, the executive director. Quynh, please say a few words, and thank you for being here.
Which mic am I? Okay. I'm just going to talk. Hello, good morning. My name is Quynh Pham. I'm the executive director for the Friends of Little Saigon. Friends of Little Saigon is a nonprofit community development organization in the Chinatown ID, specifically supporting the Little Saigon neighborhood. We do a lot of small business technical assistance as well as arts and culture programming. And we are so happy and welcoming of the community and the city to come and kick off the one day of service this morning. As you can see, this neighborhood is fairly quiet today on this Monday morning. That was very different 3 months ago. I can remember around Christmas and New Year's Day where we had over 100 people on the corner of 12th and Jackson doing illicit activities and just doing, there was a lot of violence and crime that we were seeing on a daily basis. Our businesses were afraid to open their doors, or there was just no access to their doors to open. Their employees couldn't come to work feeling safe. We had customers that literally told me that they would not step foot in this neighborhood because of what was so visible on the ground every day for us. And so through all of those challenges, it really took a lot of collaboration within community partners. Everyone came out to support and advocate for change, and it really did take new leadership to take action. And we were so happy to see some of that effort come to life. I can't say that all of our problems are resolved. The issues and challenges that we're dealing with have pre-existed COVID and pre-existed a lot of the things that we're seeing in Seattle right now. This neighborhood has gone through a lot of displacement challenges and just the vast number of things that have happened throughout the pandemic. But through all of that, there is some silver lining. Like the mayor office has highlighted, people are willing to come out and support They're willing to lend their voice, they're willing to lend their hand, and to see one day of service come to life as well is a really great indicator that we're heading on to something new and great for the city. And so we're very excited to be part of the kickoff today, and also want to see that this one day of service is not just one day. We want the commitment from the city and our community to continue this work together. Many of these challenges take more than one individual and one entity. We all have to come together to do something, and we're excited to see that action continue with this one day of service. So thank you so much for being here this morning in Little Saigon.
Thank you, Quynh. I will take a few questions. I would like to say that in addition to the Sounders and the rain and the Mariners, who got Houston 2-1, which is pretty amazing, that the reason why we think the sports and the athletic side are so important is because they're activating our community. They're bringing energy. And even if you are an athlete or just a person that appreciates sports, or you don't even appreciate sports, you do appreciate energy, positive energy, doing the best you can with whatever talent you may have. So that's our one day of service. We're gonna, like I say, all hands on deck, and everyone could pitch in, so no excuses. And with that, I'll take some questions. Matt, you're first. I like the way you raise your hand too. Oh, the Kraken! Oh, I love the Kraken.
What is your plan to tackle graffiti in the city of Seattle? Are you going to rely on volunteers to remove it?
So, we've looked at the current strategy in years past on graffiti. The city's spending about $3.7 million currently. They have about 15 and a half FTEs. That is across several departments, SDOT, Parks, SPU. It's been my analysis that one of the challenges we have is on an executive level, no one owns it. In order to get a problem solved, someone has to own it. I should be able to turn to someone and say, by the way, your job depends on how well we do this. So we're gonna have a multi-pronged strategy. And I'm looking at our organization first to identify this person. I'm gonna identify a person who's not that person, but someone I want to acknowledge because of the great work that he is doing in SPU under Andrew Lee, and that's Idris Borgard, who stands in the back here. I just want people to see that person. Idris is a superstar, and yes, he did go to Garfield High School. I have to put that out there, and the University of Washington. But Idris and I were talking about our strategy, so it's going to be multi-pronged. Yes, we need to first coordinate with the state. The state's put some money in the budget. And if we sometimes as a city penalize business owners for not acting quick enough, we need the state to act with the same sense of urgency. We'll make sure that our interdepartmental teams coordinate with a sense of urgency, and that they develop a camaraderie where they almost become competitive. That they're saying we need to beautify the city. So I'm not gonna certainly criticize some of these fine 15 and a half employees that are doing this work now, but I want them to be like a team. And then the question becomes, do I increase that investment strategy? I look at cities like Chicago that actually spend more money on this kind of effort, and it could be we have to increase our investment strategy. Then I need to look at who's actually doing some of this stuff, who these people are, and can we activate artists to actually beautify certain areas? Perhaps we're creating a canvas for other people, and we want to beautify certain areas, create the artwork. You know, we don't have to do everything with just a gray color. We want a color match such that it looks beautiful. So we'll work with what I'll call the graffiti community as well to find out if we have artists there as well. So we're gonna have a multi-pronged strategy, an investment strategy, a new sense of urgency and teamwork. And yes, we're gonna ask people to help out. I'll buy the paint and the brush, and you can help us. It's actually sort of fun to do when you're restoring beauty. So it feels good. So yes, but we won't rely on people. We will give them the opportunity to help us beautify the city. It's not a reliance, it's an alignment. Erica, because you say I never called on you early. Erica Burnett.
Boy, I'm never gonna live that down. So can you talk about, as Quynh said, this is not a 2-month effort, it's not a 1-day effort. Can you talk about anything else you're doing to strategize improvements in this area? There's obviously a lot of boarded up storefronts behind you, for example.
Sure. So I'll repeat the question about, in addition to just perhaps beautifying and cleaning up, what other kinds of strategies or activities will the city do? So we have to also understand that small businesses, brick and mortar businesses, they need more than just clean walls. They need economic help. They need consumers to buy their products and services. They need effective public safety so people feel safe to come in those areas. So along those lines, we're investing a lot of money through Little Saigon. I think the CID Little Saigon received in this year almost $500,000 in economic recovery grants. We're going to, I think last year we invested in the CID Little Saigon about $275,000 for pandemic support. You're going to see this year in the OED economic recovery grants to community-based organizations about $180,000 in our grant system that we have in place. And I could go down many other lists in our Clean and Safe program. There's another term that I want to bring out. I want to talk a little bit about the REACH program from the Evergreen Treatment Center. That's a dedicated staff person for people that are dealing with, that are homelessness or may have some drug treatment issues. So a multi-pronged strategy, an investment strategy. So under our approach, what I'm asking my executive team to is look at that portfolio, bring in the right funds, and make sure, most importantly, that we are listening to people like Quynh and Linh, and they're telling us what they need. I don't think the city should presume they know what is needed in these areas, Erica. I think that the strategy should be to listening to these communities and letting them sort of lead the way, and then we provide the resources and the person power. But you have seen a pretty aggressive investment strategy in these areas, and I just try to give a few examples. I'd also just add to that, our Office of Housing Strategy is doing the same thing in these areas. So you have seen in recent years, both in the Yesler family housing, the is it Anlock Apartments, I think it's called, the Anlock Apartments strategy, you're seeing a housing strategy and investment strategy as well. We want people to be able to, again, live and work and play in the communities that they are very familiar with and from which they've come. I think many of you may know that my aunt and uncle, my mother's sister, just used to own a place just about a block away from here, and her brother used to own a place about a block up the street, and my first cousin still run a place about a block away. So I'm no stranger to this area by any stretch of the imagination. My mother and my grandparents used to own a flower store just about 2 blocks north of here called Cherryland Florists. That was confiscated by the government when they were interned. So this is home for me. And I'm going to try to use this as an example of the kind of investment strategy we're going to have all the way from Lake City to West Seattle, because people have multi-generation roots in those areas as well. I hope I answered your question. Yes, I'll go here and then I'll coming back.
Okay, so thank you, Mayor, for cleaning up the homeless sites on 8th Avenue and South Jackson. But then after you did that, a couple of the homeless camps pulled back. So what should we do?
So as soon as you asked the question about thank you for helping clean the area, and she said, I was an awesome mayor in there, I heard that. And then she said, but she has seen some people come back in the homeless community, what we're gonna do about that. So we know people need housing. And I've had over 100, I don't know, 110, who's counting, 120 days to look at our housing strategy. So we will continue to deal with our regional homelessness authority and deal with our caseworkers and deal with the unsheltered population, try to find them housing and still try to beautify the areas. This is decades in the making, Assunta, and I think you know that. So we will continue to beautify areas Where we have to make removals, we will, but we want to lead with compassion in housing. And so I tell folks we're heading on the right trajectory. But as I said on other press conferences, we're not trying to strong arm our way into public safety. We're trying to lead with compassion and love. But we, on a real-time basis, again, you'll see in a matter of a couple of weeks where different encampments are. It's going to be a updated real-time synopsis of what we're dealing with, so the whole city can see the hand that I'm dealt and our administration's dealt, and we'll do the best we could. But we're pretty aggressive in terms of trying to find people housing and get them sheltered and to restore some beauty to the city. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the timeline for the long-term plan in terms of the cleanup. Specifically, the question about graffiti is I worry about, businesses, what's going to keep this from getting tagged all over again, just based on what we saw across the street here. Second question is, Philadelphia is bringing back its mask mandate again today, and I'm curious if that's something that you're even considering with cases rising in some areas of the country right now. What's on the radar with that?
Okay, we have two questions. The first one is, with graffiti, what's to stop it just from repeating itself, right? We paint and they tag, and we paint and they commit acts of graffiti. For number one of our strategies is we need to better understand the graffiti culture. That's not, in my mind, that's just not something healthy to do. You are defacing someone's building and where they work and where they live and where they play. So we need to understand who these people are. And so in our arts community, I'm trying to better understand these people. I want to bring them in. We're going to have, I don't know what we're calling it yet, but we're going to have a day where we're going to call all these graffiti artists out and meet with them to find out what's going on here. Why do you do that? Do you need an outlet to express your artistic world? And quite candidly, we're going to try to see if our enforcement strategy is effective. And I don't lead with that, but that's just the reality of what I have to concern myself with. I've been told from our police department as an example, there's a handful of people that are doing a lot of the work, a lot of the destruction of the property. So we're going to better understand who I'm dealing with. There's been stuff written about the typical profile of a person doing this act of graffiti. I also want to know what time of day they're doing it, because I don't see anyone doing it, but it seemed like it's there in the middle of the night. Is that a 3 a.m. activity, 4 a.m. activity? But in all seriousness, we need to better understand the culture. So we will continue to clean up, but we'll also see how we can mitigate. I'll go to your second question about the mask mandate. So once again, we looked at the number. We are looking at the numbers in Philadelphia, and we saw there that surge. So we're going to let the data make our decisions. I'll work closely with the county and the state. We have a team that works closely with them in looking at the mandate. As we speak, you're not hearing a mandate yet, but I reserve the right to support a mandate if the data suggests that. We're not out of the woods yet. We're not out of the woods yet, and I need people to understand that these mandates are being taken seriously, and I think a lot of people are still voluntarily putting on their masks. But we're going to look at that and continue to make our decisions literally on a day-to-day basis. Now, my college education said we got about 3 more minutes of questions here.
Can I just follow up on that regarding vaccine mandates for vendors of the city and city employees? The fire department's down 90 employees, 20 were let go last year because they didn't satisfy the vaccine mandate. Would you consider lifting the vaccine mandate for city employees and vendors?
No. Next question. You want me to elaborate, Matt? I like yes or no questions, you see. I take the mandates very seriously, that it's about safety. And we're trying to save lives. And this is a pandemic. And so I take it very seriously. And I think our city employees, our public servants need to lead by example. And while some people are getting their 4th shot, people need to understand that the science would suggest that we need to get these vaccines. And so I'm not in a position or inclined to lift it. Yes, Jonathan.
Mayor, quick question. I was at another homeless encampment suite this morning in Capitol Hill. That's now 3 in a week. Neighbors are absolutely thrilled. However, how much longer will this pace continue?
So, thanks for the question, Jonathan. So everything we do, I've said before, is sustainable. So I don't believe in quick headlines. If you want to give me a good headlines, I'll take it. Don't get that one twisted. But it's got to be sustainable. So everything that we're doing is designed to be sustainable. And let me tell you something. Sometimes what you're not hearing is profound. This is what you're not hearing. You're not hearing about a bunch of bad arrests because we're criminalizing poverty or a racialized approach to what we're doing. You're not hearing people being mean-spirited when they're doing this kind of work. Now, I was at an event, I think it was Saturday or Sunday this weekend, and a woman came up to me, and she was a very kind woman, and she was at the ballard removal, and she said, well, she believed in me and our approach, but she thought that some of the workers could have been a little more gentle, I suppose, is what she was saying. And I said that I will take that to heart and I will talk to our team about that, because I truly believe that people want housing, they want help, and they want services. But the pace with which we are acting is sustainable. And I made sure that as we build our systems to be able to clean our city up and help people get housing. And you may recall in my first 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, I said that. I said I had to build the systems to have optimal work and sustainable work. And quite frankly, let me make this very clear. You don't see us taking victory laps, okay? You don't see us taking victory laps. This is hard work we're doing. We work 7 days a week. But if we love this city, and we love the city, right? See that? And we love the Sounders. That is sustainable. So the pace is sustainable, our energy is sustainable, our love is sustainable. And if there's no other questions, you can't say I dodged the press. 5, 4. Oh, man. Go ahead.
You talked about considering making more investments in graffiti removal. Has there been a decision made, and when will there be one made?
Good question. So actually today I'm meeting with my executive team, 3, what we call them portfolio managers. That would be the arts group, the parks group, SDOT group, SPU, to figure out, in preparation for the budget and in preparation for what we can do under what are called budget control levels, what investments I need to change now. And if I'm gonna be just candid with you, the state, I keep talking about the state as well, because if you go down I-5 and you go down some of these I-90 or some of these other areas, I'm not seeing a sense of urgency. And they did put some money in the budget for us, so then it's incumbent upon us to partner, dare I say, yell at the state to help us do this. Because if we're going to show the commitment and the energy behind this, and they put some funds, then we got to get going. So we're going to make our investment strategy here in the next several weeks. 2.
Can you talk briefly about this real-time synopsis you mentioned of encampments?
Yes, so I don't have my subject matter expert with us right now, but in the next couple of weeks, I talked about both the plan, the homelessness plan, and being able to show people sort of what the data we have. We pretty much have the data. We're just putting it in a very sort of easy to read format, and we hope to have that. I will commit without overcommitting that by the end of May for sure, it'll be live. And I want to say in the middle of May, in the next couple of weeks. Quite frankly, the data is scattered amongst departments. We have to rely on some service providers or some vendors when we're getting this information. And so it's not just something that's readily attainable. And so that's why it's taking a little time to build. But that's going to be ongoing work, and then we'll find a method by which we keep it live. And again, we understand that approach. We are subjecting ourselves to possible criticism. And people say, wow, you know, I only live in Lake City, out here in Lake City. I didn't realize the problem was so bad in the CID. But that's okay. When I talk about one Seattle, I don't see boundaries in these neighborhoods. A lot of our small business work talks about promoting businesses across the city so we can see all these outstanding small businesses and restaurants. So I want everyone to be able to see what we see, because we travel the city every single day. So it'll be ready in a few weeks. 2, 1. Thank you for being here, everybody. Make it a great day.